and thanks for joining us today with the team at We Are Savvy for our webinar on 3 tips on standing out in the market. This is a short 30-minute webinar, and we have designed these specifically for insurance professionals. We are going to be talking about these 3 marketing tips that we believe will really help you to stand out in what is really a crowded environment out there. And so it's really hard to stand out for all businesses. And so these tips will really help you with that. Please think of any questions and you can add them to the chat. We can answer those questions at the end. So you'll be hearing from me. My name's Caroline Healy. I'm the CEO at We Are Savvy. I'm a perceived expert in insurance marketing, whether that's a thing or not, but I do have 15 years experience working within the insurance marketing sector. And I have a pretty good idea around what works and what doesn't work when it comes to marketing in that insurance sector and really reaching out to clients when we're trying to sell insurance products. I started We Are Savvy 6 years ago, and we really focus on providing quality brand and marketing services and work with clients to support them from strategy through to their implementation. We've worked with some wonderful companies over the years and some great insurance clients as well as clients in other sectors. We are part of the Steadfast preferred supplier panel and have relationships and support NEBA and ANZIF as well. So I started working in the insurance sector through IAG and managing the CGU brand and a couple of the other brands within their group. And that's really where I built that insurance experience from. So we here wanted today to really start with a quick poll, and we're going to just get your thoughts around what you think helps your marketing stand out. So Marika's going to launch a poll up onto the screen. So can you see that? Sorry, I can't see it, but
that's okay. We've got responses coming through.
Right. So
okay, we'll end that.
And Marika, just if you want to share the poll results.
Yep, that should, hopefully everyone can see that there. So the most popular choice was message.
Message. So people think that message is, the thing that stands out the most. And what about following that?
So then we had an equal split over brand, focused and solid strategy.
Wonderful. Well, we'll certainly, be talking about some of those things today, and they'll help really with those things that really help you to stand out in the marketplace. So our first tip that we want to start with today is really about your brand. And here I want you to think about your brand as more than your identity. Yes, your brand is your logo, it's your colors, it's the font and things, but it's much more than that. It's really about your voice. It's really about what people think about your business, and it's about your ability to connect with audiences. So, my advice is not going to be here, okay, everyone needs to rebrand. No, don't worry. That is not what I'm going to be saying. Yes, I think it would be wonderful if we could all create new fantastic names and logos and have wonderful bold modern colors, but that's not practical. And so we want to work with what is practical to help your brand stand out so that you can be more than a wallflower. As every other sector, whether you're in motor vehicles or fast food beverages or insurance, sectors have a norm and they have that sort of style. And we can see that here. We know that, within the insurance sector, there's lots of blues and greens, a bit of oranges. Everyone uses capital letters. We use a lot of acronyms. So there is that sort of sector norm. And so it's how do we think about breaking out of that sector norm and what can we bring into your brand and how can we evolve your brand that really can help you to stand out. And brands do need to evolve in order to remain relevant relevant and in order to stand out. So, some ways that you can think about that and do that certainly is with your identity, because these things help you get noticed. That's the purpose of that visual identity for that brand. It helps you get noticed. So if you feel that that identity is lacking and that you might be a wallflower, like many of the other insurance businesses out there, you can certainly make some small changes, like adding some color to your color palette, so that your marketing can really pop. So it's not changing everything, but it's just adding to what you've already got, potentially altering some of your font or creating some headline font so that you've got a more modern style within that. And also thinking about the imagery that you use. That's again a small, simple change that you can make in your marketing, is bringing out really bold, impactful imagery so people stop and they look at that imagery. And that's those things that you can do without making wholesale changes to your brand. But the second part of standing out and using your brand and being more than that wallflower is really using your voice. And it's really your voice that can help you both get noticed, but also really help you to stand out. Taking an issue, a stance on an issue that matters to, issues that matter to you, issues that matter to your employees or your clients, can help you get noticed and stand out. When we take a stance on issues and really use our voice, it can show how we're a strong business, we're confident, and we have values that we're willing to stand up for. So from an insurance perspective, we can consider and share views on topics like climate change, sustainability, insurance issues like coverage, where can you get coverage, where can't people get coverage for certain things, pricing, and so on. So you can really, think about those topics and think about, is there something that you want to say about these things? What is your business doing to address these types of topics? And really talking to clients and potential clients about the actions that you're taking to address these things, and trying to create change in the society that you work in and live in. There's also, I suppose, more of the social issues and having a voice on social issues. And over the past few years, you've seen all the big names, all of the big insurers, all of the big, companies in other sectors take a stand on social change issues, such as marriage equality, inclusion, diversity, Australia Day, even the recent referendum. Big corporates are putting their names to a side of a debate. And they're choosing issues that are really relevant to either their business, to their employees, or to their clients. And I think, what the question is, why has using your voice as a business and taking a stand become so important in this day and age, and become so important in helping you get noticed? And I think it's because there have been so many changes in the society, particularly with the younger generations, who are really driven by purpose and values, and they use purpose and values in their decision making. So it's really important that we as businesses connect with these, or we get left behind. And, I know some people might have got, oh, she's talking the younger generations, or what, they're potentially not my market, or they're potentially, oh, they're so young, they're not the decision makers. But actually, when I'm talking about the younger generations, we are looking at the lower end of Gen X, Gen Y, millennials. So these people are people in their 30s and their 40s. These are people who have good jobs, they have families, they have assets, they own businesses, and they make decisions. And they talk about all of these things with their networks and their friends and their peers and their colleagues. And so these are influencers as well within this, within this environment. So it's really important that, the decision makers and the future decision makers, but it's the current decision makers, they actually do consider an organization's purpose and values when making business decisions, especially when I think it comes to industries like insurance that can be a little bit more intangible in actually seeing, what is the product or the service value. So, I would really say have a voice. Don't be afraid to stand up for what your business believes in and have that voice and share that voice. Finally, also thinking about creating memorable experiences with your brand. So I'd like to say, like this webinar, hopefully it's an engaging webinar, it's an informative webinar, and we make it memorable for you. So you're going to go away and talk about what you've learned today with others. So you really want to make sure that you have create experiences that your audience will want to talk about, in a positive way. Our second tip here is really about focusing on the right connections. So really knowing your market. And really, you don't need to stand out to everyone. You only really need to stand out to the people who you want to be your customers. So your marketing really needs to be focused. For example, We Are Savvy, our business, we focus on insurance and the not-for-profit sector. And our marketing always focuses, 90% of the time, focuses on insurance and the insurance sector. So when you look at the webinars we do, they're focused to insurance sector. When you look at the blogs we write, they're focused to insurance. When you look at our social content, it's focused to insurance. So we really embrace that sector, and we create content and we create marketing that resonates with people working within the insurance sector. So that helps us to stand out, and people start to get to know us, and really, take some notice of what we have to say. So it's about creating that focus from an audience perspective, but also having a purpose. So that, and not the purpose I spoke about from a brand perspective, but actually, what is the action? Why are you doing something? What is the reason you are taking that marketing, doing that marketing activity? And really, if something doesn't have a clear objective or purpose or reason behind doing it, then I would say save your money. Don't do it. People ask me, should I do this? Should I do that? And I will always ask, why are you doing it? What's the reason behind that? And if you have a reason, then okay, maybe yes, the answer is yes. But when people can't articulate a clear reason, whether it's about I want to attract new customers, or I want to build on my existing customer, and I want to sell more policies, get more insurance cover for my existing client network, if they can't articulate why they want to do something from a marketing perspective, then generally we try and avoid that and we say no. Because if it doesn't have that purpose, it's not going to really add value, and it's not going to help you to stand out. So we really want to think about, are you doing something for lead generation? Is it about building credibility? Is it about keeping your customers sticky? And then in terms of focus, thinking about who are the customers that you're trying to target. What do they look like? Creating a quick customer profile is really key and important, and it can take you probably 5 or 10 minutes. You will know very quickly who your different audiences are and your customers are. So, writing down, what do they value? What is their biggest risk, from an insurance perspective? What are their challenges? What emotions drive their purchase? But also, what are the rational reasons that they need insurance? As humans, we always make decisions based on both our rational thoughts and our emotional thoughts. So it's important to understand both of those, and then that will help you target your marketing. And thinking about where your customers are. If they're on Facebook and TikTok, sure, then you might want to be on Facebook and TikTok. But if they're on LinkedIn, then you want to be on LinkedIn. You don't need to be across all channels and in all areas. So a practical example is that if we're focusing on tradies, if you're looking at, okay, we do a lot of insurance for tradies out there, let's think about them. They're generally male. They're probably 18 to 60, but your decision makers are probably more like 35 to 55 when it comes to making the insurance decisions. They're time poor, so you need to keep it brief and practical. They're probably not too serious. Most tradies aren't too serious. They're pretty relaxed and laid back. So you can probably have some fun with your marketing. their needs. They need their tools protected. They need their cars protected. They need all of these things to work. So if they don't have their tools and they don't have their cars in working order, they're in real trouble. And so that is both their practical, rational need, but also, the fear of not having those things is part of their emotional need. Because they are time poor and practical, you can engage with them via SMS and text. You need to ensure that your communications are really mobile friendly, because they're doing everything on their phones, they don't pull a laptop out of the back of the ute and go online and check their emails during the middle of the day. So thinking about those sorts of things. So this is why, thinking about those sorts of things will help you to think about what marketing activities you can do that will stand out for that audience, and how and where it is you can communicate with them. So being focused and knowing your market and creating customer personas really help you make marketing decisions based on data. They help you to target the right people at the right time with the right message. And those three things are really key in ensuring that your marketing stands out. The right people, the right time, and the right message. Those three things together will help your marketing stand out. If you do one of those things, you might have a little bit of an impact, but you might not as well. So those three things will very much help you stand out. Our third tip, and the final area that we recommend that ensures that your marketing will help your business stand out, is about consistency. Consistency gets results. And why? Why does consistency get results? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First off, because people need to see and hear things a couple of times, between 3 and 7 times, before they actually take notice, before they remember, before it sort of, sinks into their brain. I mean, you've probably all heard it takes 3 weeks to create a habit or break a habit. And it's similarly with, messaging and marketing and branding. People need to see things several times. They need that repetition before it's, goes into their subconscious or their conscious. The second thing to think about is that people aren't necessarily ready to buy when your marketing is in front of them. Insurance is a really long purchase cycle. Often people don't look to buy insurance more than once a year. They do everything at the same time. Their insurance is all bundled. So if they're looking to change because they're not happy with somebody or their circumstances have changed, it probably only happens once a year, maybe twice a year. So consistency is really important to help them remember you. So if you're always in connection with them or in contact with them, putting your marketing in front of them. So how do you ensure consistency is the question. Follow a plan, a strategy, approach, a plan, whatever you would like to call it. But creating that plan will help you to create consistency and deliver consistency, and checking in on that plan and that strategy and making sure that you're delivering what you had planned to deliver. And so thinking about this plan, not only from your identity, but for all your marketing, for the voice, the messages that you want to put out there, for consistency in the activities that you choose to do. Posting 3 or 4 times on social media and they're not doing it for 6 months will not add any value to you. It needs to be a consistent approach. Those activities need to be done on a continuous basis to create impact and to make sure that you do stand out. So that's really important. And I think, it is targeting that audience again. Following that plan and that strategy will know that I'm targeting the right audience and that my marketing isn't just going to talk to other people that really I'm not that interested in. So following a strategy or approach will really help you to build consistency. It's going to ensure that you are regularly connecting with audiences in that same manner. Whereas once you start making ad hoc decisions about what marketing activity you do, you will find it is most often wasteful. And it is because that one-off activity doesn't connect with a whole lot of other marketing activities, so you just don't get that consistency. And I have clients, quite often ask me and talk to me, oh, should I do this or should I do that? And yes, I ask the question, as I mentioned before, well, why? What's the purpose? What's the reasoning behind doing that? And what else are you doing around that? So, you know, and I had an example just recently from an insurance client who, you know, got a great deal to do, you know, we'll call it an advertorial in an insurance publication. Should I do this? It seems like it's really good value and cost, for, you know, good value for the price that it was going to cost. And my questions back are, well, what else are you going to do around it to leverage it? Because actually just one article in a publication, it's great for those people who see it at that one point in time, which would be over maybe a week. But what happens in the follow-up for, you know, the 2 or 3 or 4 weeks later? How are you keeping that message alive and getting that out there? If you're just doing it as a one-off, it's probably not going to add great value to that overall message that you're wanting to do. So, you know, be careful about these, you know, offers and deals of doing a one-off thing here and a one-off thing there to promote your message. So I think that's really important. So I think following a strategy or approach, and being consistent in that implementation, and through your implementation as well, look at the data so that you can adapt and evolve what you're doing, based on the responses that you're seeing and that's coming back. So really just in wrapping up here, as I say, we like to keep these webinars short and sharp to our 30 minutes. So, you know, there's quite a bit of information in here, and we will put this webinar online. But our 3 tips really are about, you know, don't be a wallflower, be true to your brand, use your voice, and express your brand. Be focused, and know your market. So know your customers, know the markets that you really want to target, and focus your marketing in those areas. And then be consistent. So follow that plan or the strategy and be really consistent in your implementation. And those 3 things all working together will really make sure that your marketing stands out in what is a really crowded environment. I'm certainly happy to answer some questions. There were some questions in the registration, but you can pop some questions in the chat if you have any.